My name's Cody King. This is my channel, Cody King's World. I'm going to show you how I built my maple evaporator stove. Check it out.
Everything I used to build the stove came from my local hardware store. That's including cinder blocks, mortar, black stovepipe, a galvanized rain cap, and a T-post. I also use an adjustable duct clamp to keep the chimney in place. Altogether, that cost me $114, and that's just the stove. The maple evaporator pan, heat-resistant gloves, and maple taps I bought on Amazon. I'll have links from all the materials used from Amazon in the description. Now, let me show you how I built my stove. First thing, I had to find a location of where I want to put it at, and I found a nice spot that was unused right behind my house. I had to clear out brush, dead trees, live trees, and rake up leaves, which was the easy part. The hard part was I had to level off a spot since this is on a hill. In the end, this worked out great because now I have a pile of firewood that I can use while I'm boiling down my maple sap. Now it's time for the hard part. I don't mind digging, but when you have to dig into roots, that's another story. I hate breaking a tree's root system, but for this stove to work right, it has to be leveled, so it has to be done. While I was digging, I remembered I had a pile of gravel sitting in my front yard, so I went and filled 2 buckets up. This can be used to show the outline of where the stove is going to be at, and also to put under the center blocks to keep it leveled. Next to the gravel is this massive maple tree. Check it out. Can't wait to tap into that thing. I'm sprinkling the gravel around to show the outline of where the center blocks are going to sit at. I don't have a tamper, but a good sized rock will work just as well. Kind of feel like a caveman while I was doing this. It was actually kind of fun dropping the rock and seeing the impact on the soil. Now we need something to keep the soil from eroding away. These oak logs should get the job done. I tamped everything down again, this time using a concrete block, and it worked out even better. After I got done tamping it down, everything was just about level. So we are ready to start laying block. I quit for the day after doing this, but I did lay out some block and take some pictures of what it would look like, and this is what I came up with. The next day, it rained of course, so I didn't get back to the project until the next weekend. And of course, it snowed that weekend. But I was determined to get this project done, and I know maple season is happening right here, right now. So I planned ahead, and I put a tarp down over top the blocks. Once I removed it, we were able to work without any snow. Now, let's start laying block. It is super important to make sure you get your blocks nice and leveled. The rocks really help out by creating a nice leveled spot where the block's going to sit at. This took about 10 to 15 minutes till I really got this nice and level. But if you don't have your blocks sitting flat, and when you put your pan down, all of the sap's going to rush to one side of the pan, and you're not really going to be getting an even boil that way. Also, if it's not leveled, you're going to have gaps where you don't want them, and that's going to create smoke. When that smoke comes out, it's going to get into your maple syrup, and it will give it a smoky flavor, and I'm not going for that. These blocks are perfectly leveled. Now, let's get the rest of the blocks in line with what these look like. You can see the difference right now. I cut a 4-inch solid block into 4 different pieces, and this worked as a spacer since my pan was 20 inches wide with a 16-inch block and the 4-inch spacer I was actually right at 19 and a half, since the center block is not exactly 16 inches. If you're unaware of how to split a block, here's a quick demonstration of how I did it. I used a wedge, the same wedge that I used to split my wood with, and I had a 4-pound hammer, and I just simply hit it all the way around the entire block. And once you have a line across or around the whole entire block, go back to the original side and hit it really hard, and it should split open.
Now that I got this leveled, I want to make sure that this block and this block here are parallel with each other. So I'm going to check this one, and I just butt the end of my tape measure there, and right here I'm at 19 and 7/16. I want to be at the same over here, and I check that, and I'm right at 19 and 7/16. So this is square. This is not perfectly level, but it is so close that I'm okay with it right now for what this is. So now let's put the next block right here and just continue working our way across here. So I got the base layer of block all leveled, ready to go. Check this out. Look at that, perfectly leveled all the way across. So now it's time to mix up some mortar.
Here comes the supervisor to check up on the project.
How's everything going, honey? Everything looks good. You should be wearing a mask while you're mixing that.
Do I have to say, this is the first time I've ever used mortar? I really could not get it to stick right, but I'm not building a foundation for a house. This is just a simple concrete stove for me to boil down some maple sap. If you are a mason and you're watching this, you've got to be laughing your ass off. Well, let's go ahead and speed this up and get this over with. Now for my chimney, I use black 5-inch stovepipe. And then I just put mortar all around the stovepipe and inside the hole there. And then I just stuff the chimney pipe right into the hole, put more mortar all around it, and eventually it was all covered up. And then the other hole next to it, I ended up just getting a concrete block, filling the hole with that, and then just putting mortar all around it as well. This is what it looked like a week later after everything had dried. Now, I just need to finish building the chimney up, and then we'll get our first fire lit and test this thing out. The T-post is going to help support the chimney, and I put a adjustable duct strap around the chimney, and once I tighten that down, it keeps it right in place. I ended up moving the strap up to the top after I got the second piece on, and that's where it remained. With the pan sitting on top, you can see the gaps on the bottom of the pan there. And I was worried that was going to cause a lot of smoke to get into the maple sap. But in the end, once I put the door in the front, that actually created the draft, and all that air got sucked in around the bottom of that pan, and then all the smoke came right out of the chimney. We are going to watch that all play out right here, right now. By the way, this is just water that I'm pouring into the pan. Whenever you collect your sap, be sure to use food grade safe buckets. A Home Depot or Lowe's bucket is not food grade safe. It contains really bad plastic, and you don't want that in your maple syrup. So be sure to go to Tractor Supply, or even Walmart has BPA free food grade safe buckets. I just lit the fire. Pay attention of how the smoke builds up here. Once the door is open right now, that concrete block is the door, you'll see with it being open of how that smoke just kind of goes everywhere. But as soon as I close the door, pay attention of how all that smoke will transfer through the chimney. You can see all the smoke coming out the side of the pan there. The same thing is happening on this side as well. Look at all the smoke going everywhere. Now, I'm going to put on the door, and let's see what it looks like then. And I used two 4-inch solid concrete blocks to do this. I'll lay down the first one, and then the second one, I have it sitting on its side. And just like that, all the smoke is now going through the chimney. Yeah, so now with it like that, seems like all the air is getting sucked in around the maple evaporator. See, once I close it off like that, seems like those little cracks around the pan, the air is now getting sucked in and then coming out the chimney. So, might be alright actually. Let's take another look with the door off. I thought setting it up like this might help, but it didn't. So it seems like the right way of using this is having the door in the front up against the pan and let that draft come around the cracks around the pan and out the chimney. I'm going to let this fire burn out. Next time I get a fire going, I should be making maple syrup. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and be there for that video. Thank you for watching.